Hello and welcome to the MapSuite WebAPI Edition labeling learning sample. In this sample, I'm going to show you the flexibility of MapSuite WebAPI Edition in labeling parcels, streets, and points of interest. Everything from the number of labels displayed on the screen to the size and color of the labels is customizable. I'll even show you how to implement your own custom labeling style with our extensible API, so you can draw labels exactly how you need them. This first example is the labeling style. This example has parcels, streets, and points of interest to show how all the labeling features work together to create a comprehensive map. The MapSuite core class text style applies to all feature types, points, lines, and polygons. First thing I'll do is select Label Styling from the Show Layers menu. From the Settings menu, right here, we can customize the style. Apply Outline Color creates an outline around the label text so it is more visible. Apply Background Mask displays a background behind the point of interest label so that it stands out. When labels overlapping each other is selected, labels that would be hidden because they intersect with other labels are displayed. Let's take a look at that. So you can see right here, here's two overlapping labels. And the background mask is the background that's displayed behind the label. And the outline color created a slight white outline around the text. Okay, so let's remove labels overlapping each other for the next sample. Grid size chops up the display area into cells behind the scenes and only displays one label per cell. If the grid size is small, like I've selected, then many labels are displayed, like all these labels here in the mall. If grid size is set to large, then few labels will be shown, and only one label in this area would be displayed. If we change duplicate rule to unlimited duplicate labels, then labels of roads can be drawn multiple times. So right now there's only one label for this entire mall ring around the mall. But if I change no duplicate labels to unlimited duplicate labels, then you're going to see multiple labeling of mall ring. Okay. The final setting here is drawing margin percentage, and this changes the maximum length of some labels. If I change it to something like 15, then these longer labels are going to be truncated. And you can see that is the case here for Embassy Suites and also Nordstrom's. So if you want the chance that your label is truncated to be reduced to the minimum, you're going to want this to be something larger than 100. So something like 200 or 300 is probably best. You can see the full label has returned. Okay, let's look at labeling points. This example shows how you can control the placement of point of interest labels to create a clearly labeled map. So from the Style Settings menu here, you can change the placement of these labels. Right now they're placed in the upper center of the point with a Y offset of 8. But if we want to display labels to the right of points of interest, we can select Center Right, change the Y offset to be 0, and let's give it an X offset of 8. Now labels are displayed to the right of points. All right, let's look at labeling lines. This sample demonstrates the importance of splining. You know that streets and rivers don't always follow a straight path, so you can use splining so that the label follows the curves and the zigzags of features. Now, by default, labeling is set to none. Not labeling, but splining is set to none. But we can change it to be standard splining. Now, when it's set to none, that's the best performance. All the labels are displayed in straight lines. If we go to standard splining, then labels that curve with the road and labels that can be displayed without splining in straight are still displayed. So this mode generally looks the best. There's also a setting to force splining, and this is generally used for Asian languages like Chinese or Japanese. This forces all labels to be displayed with the spline type, even if they're straight, and so performance is the worst with this setting. This line segment ratio setting is the maximum ratio of the label to the length of the street required for the label to display. So 0.9 means that labels that are 90% of the road length or less are displayed. Okay, let's go on to the labeling polygon sample. This sample shows some of our polygon-based labeling features. The first feature is only display labels that fit within a polygon. So when I check this, then only labels that fit inside the polygon area are displayed. Now, not all labels that fit inside their polygon are displayed because there are other reasons why labels might be hidden, like they would overlap with another label if displayed. It's also possible to use the fitting polygon factor property to set which labels will be displayed based upon their size in relation to the size of the polygon. With fitting polygon factor, you would set the factor like 0.9, and only labels that are 90% of their polygon or less are displayed. Whereas this checkbox is using the fitting polygon property, which is just a Boolean. This setting to label all polygon parts will label all the parts that make up a polygon-based feature. So for example here, Stonebriar Center is labeled multiple times. Also, Hall Office Park has multiple features that are labeled inside of it. Now, if you don't like our built-in labeling styles, that's not a problem. MapSuite is extensible, so you can create your own custom labeling class. In this example, we created a custom class in order to have a maximum and minimum label text size. So here's my custom class. If I go into settings, I can choose a minimum and a maximum font size. Okay, let's look at the client-side code first. The div panel header is where the layer list is held that displays when the layer button in the menu on the top left of the page is clicked. This div edit panel holds the label styling settings that are dynamically added to the dialog based upon which layer style has been chosen. Okay, on line 138 we have the jQuery that loads the label styling settings. There is jQuery at line 175 that saves the style settings. And then it calls leaflet to redraw the map here at line 219. And of course this is because I'm using the leaflet project, but you can also check out the open layers example. And then on line 230, we use jQuery to call leaflet to redraw the map when a layer style is selected from the menu. Okay, let's look at some server-side code. Here's the custom text style I was showing you. Now you can see that we inherit the MapSuite core class text style, so we can then override drawCore to draw our own custom style. Here's where drawCore is overridden. The properties min font size and max font size don't exist in text style, so we created the custom style in order to provide the ability to limit the font size of labels. But if you wanted to create a custom splining style, for example, you could override drawCore yourself to add this functionality. Now, you should definitely go to our wiki at wiki.thinkgeo.com and search for text style without a space, and you can read more about this class. Let's look at the WebAPI labeling controller. You can see that the route prefix is label. Functions getStyle and getLabeling overlay. Here's getStyle. getStyle is used to check to see what label style is selected, and then it returns the style from Overlay Builder. And getLabeling Overlay does the same thing, but with labeling overlays. getBaseMapTile draws the tiles on the screen with features that can be labeled, and getDynamicLayerTile draws the labeling overlay with the selected style. All right, let's look at the Overlay Builder. Overlay Builder creates the styles and overlays requested by the controller. getOverlay as base map creates the layer overlay used to show the parcels, points of interest, and streets on the map. You can see there's multiple getOverlay functions here. getOverlay with labeling line, getOverlay with labeling points. There's also polygons below. Let's look at getOverlay with labeling line. You can see that the attributes of this function are inherited from the MapSuite core TextStyle class. So let's look at Spline type, for example. Let's get the definition of that. And you can see it's in the MapSuite core TextStyle class. Because this is a REST-based web API controller, the saved label style is written to a local JSON file instead of using the session state. So let's look at that. That is done right here. Save label style, and you can see it's saved to a JSON file. All right, well, I hope this learning sample was useful for you, and I encourage you to check out our wiki and look at the text style class. If there's any questions, feel free to post them to our forum. Thank you very much.